Last month, dozens of people on a Delta flight were faced with a crisis. The plane landing at Toronto's Pearson Airport crashed and caught fire. And while there were no fatalities, thankfully, several people were injured. But how does one stay calm in a situation like this? And why is it important to keep your cool while in crisis situations? Benslyne Avril is here with her insights. She is a registered psychotherapist at Therapy with Empathy. Good morning to you, Benslyne.
Good morning, Stefan.
Thank you for being with us. There's so much going on in the world. And so we looked at a situation like that and we're like, they were able to get them off.
Yeah.
No one was screaming as they were exiting the plane from what we've seen.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is a skill set we need to mirror or at least know what to do in these situations.
Yeah, and knowing how to manage it as well.
Yeah. What is most common, or what is the most common way people react?
Well, I mean, we're seeing them outside of the plane. We don't know what they were like while they were on the plane and when the accident happened. So typically in those moments, there is an initial shock. The initial reaction, it's either fight, flight, or freeze. So people might have react based on being in those three categories, depending on what was going on for them at the time. So it's being mindful that this is a situation that they weren't expecting, that happened suddenly, and sometimes the body reacts based on, however the person felt in that moment. So if for them, having been outside of the plane, they have had enough time to process what happened and to felt like they were safe, they weren't injured, so maybe that allowed for a transition out of the plane where we didn't necessarily see a lot of chaos happening at the time.
Right, and the movies showcase a lot of screaming and loud reactions, but I know that shock can sometimes come with silence.
Yes.
Like you shut down.
Yeah, it's just
freeze.
like the freeze category where your body just shut down and you don't move and you don't necessarily know what to do.
Okay, well, we have a couple scenarios because we want to know what to do. And maybe hopefully not something as dire as that, but in other life situations. Situation number one, a car crash.
Yeah, so let's say with that, like you really start by grounding yourself. So what that means is just being aware of what's happening, because typically as soon as something like that happens, you're most likely freaking out. You're scared that the accident might have cost you your life. So being able to orient yourself to the present, being able to be mindful that, okay, well, this is what's happening. This is the current situation that I'm in. I'm in a car accident. What is around me? What's happening? How am I feeling? And then the next step would be to go from, okay, well, looking around to see, okay, well, how can I put myself in the present moment and just being aware of my surroundings. Typically, I would say that's a good way to start about it. And then afterwards, you assess the situation. Okay, well, what are my injuries? Like, am I able to move? What does it look like for people around me? Am I injured? Or other passengers, if you're driving with other people, are they injured? And then figure out what would happen next. So then at that point, you can see, okay, well, do I need to call support? Do I need to get somebody else involved in a way that it would benefit me?
Right, okay.
Yeah, so then when we're looking at our mental health when it comes to being in a car crash, afterwards, a lot of people, they may feel very scared to drive again. Like if you have been in a car accident and you're worried about your health in general, so it might be anxiety inducing for someone to want to be in a car again and not knowing, the uncertainty of it happening the first time, you weren't expecting it. And then now being in a car again might bring all of those emotions. So it's important to take time to process what happened and get some support to see if you can reach out to a psychotherapist, someone that can help you process the trauma, and also maybe at the end reframing the experience as well to see, okay, well, I was resilient enough to come out of this and I felt like I had the skills to manage being in a car accident, and that can be something that is comforting and help people to feel reinforced in terms of knowing that they are resilient to deal with those situations when they come up.
Okay, and so I guess the big takeaway here, even if you're to apply these to other scenarios, is to kind of just live in that moment and reassess what's going on as opposed to being overwhelmed with emotion or even to the future of worst case scenario.
Yeah, thinking about worst case scenario, right? And having the emotions, it is normal. Like your emotions are gonna come up and you're gonna be worried about what's gonna happen. But if, let's say, you orient yourself and try to stay in the present moment as much as possible, that really allows you to focus on what's happening right now, not thinking about, oh my God, is my car gonna get on fire? Is the police not gonna come and am I gonna die here? Then, because if you think like that, then your body will start responding as if what you're thinking is happening currently. So that's why it's so important to stay based on what's happening right now.
Benslyne, I want to thank you for these tips, these calming measures, how to keep your cool under pressure. Really appreciate your time and expertise this morning.